Hi, this is Tyler from Miss Gleason's 6th period class in Pre-AP Algebra 2, and I'm doing the Quarter 3 PBA lesson share project, and my topic is 3-17, solving by completing the square. And my first problem here is the easy one, and it's x squared plus 2x plus 4. And the first step in solving this by completing the square would be to use parentheses around the x squared plus 2x, because we need to isolate that from the plus 4. So, write it down here, x squared plus 2x, and then we need to add another number that would make this a perfect square. And then we would again use that number and subtract this same number here and subtract it from the plus 4 over here. Okay, so our next step would be to use this middle term here and divide by 2, which is 1, and then square that, which is also 1. And then we use this number into the blanks above, so 1 here, and then 1 also over here. And then, so divide, the first step is divide by 2, and then square it. Okay, our next step would be to square root the x squared here, right here, and then to use this same sign right here. So, the square root of x, or the square root of x squared would be x, and then we would use the same sign, plus 1. And then we would use parentheses to close that in and square it. And then 4 minus 1, we would just solve this. 4 minus 1 is 3, so plus 3. Next step, we need to make this equal 0, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to solve for x. So we need to isolate x. So we would put it equal to 0, and then we would subtract 3. So subtract 3, bring it to the other side. Then we'd have x plus 1 squared equals negative 3. Okay, so we still need to isolate the x, and from this point we need to square root each side to get rid of this squared here on the left side. So square root x plus 1 squared and square root the negative 3. And then that would give us x plus 1 equals, so now this is a negative 3, so we can't just keep that how it is. We need to, since it's negative, we'll put plus or minus I, which is the negative 1, square root of 3. And then x is still not alone, so I'm going to move up here because I'm running out of room. And so x plus 1, we would subtract the 1 and move it to the other side. So this would isolate our x, but we're still, we can't put this negative 1 right here. We can't put that in under the square root, so we're going to leave it outside. So x equals plus or minus I square root of 3 minus 1. Sorry, my handwriting is really bad. It's really hard to do this with fingers. So our answer is x equals plus or minus I square root of 3 minus 1. And those are the steps for completing the square for this first easy problem. Okay, our second problem is the medium problem, and we're going to solve this by completing the square, and it's x squared plus 14x plus 18. So our first step would be, again, to use parentheses around the x squared, oops, I'm kind of cutting this off a little bit, x squared plus 14x. So let's try this over here, x squared plus 14x. And we still need to find another number to add to this that would make this a perfect square. So plus whatever number makes that a perfect square, parentheses around these, and then plus 18, and then this same number goes over here, subtracted from 18. Or, no, whoops, sorry, messed that up. Let's erase that. Okay, subtracted from 18, this same number here. So, our next step would be to, again, divide this middle term by 2, which will be 7. And then we're going to square that, which will be 49. So this 49 is going to go up to this last term here, 49. And then that's also going to go over here to this last underlined, minus 49. So our next step, since we've got all our numbers in, is we need to square root this first x here, or x squared, sorry, and then we need to take and use this this sign here, the plus. So then the square root of x squared is x, and then we're going to use that plus sign, and then plus 49. And then we need to square this like last time. And then solve this, plus 18 minus 49, and that equals negative 31. And then, again, we need to make this equal 0, because we're trying to find x. So we need to isolate it. So first step here, we would need to add 31 to get it to the other side. Add 31, and then you have x plus 49 squared equals 31. So then from here, you need to square root each side so you can get rid of this squared on the left side. So we're going to square root each side. Okay, and then that would cancel out the squared and the square root here. So that would give us x plus 49 equals square root of 31. We can't simplify that, so it's just plus or minus square root of 31. So we're still not done because x is still not isolated, and I'm running out of room again, so I'll have to come back over here. So x plus 49, we will subtract 49 to get to the other side. Subtract 49. Now our x is isolated, and we get x equals plus or minus square root of 31 minus 49. And this is our answer for the second problem, our second medium problem for x squared plus 14x plus 18 by completing the square. And the last problem will be the hardest problem. Okay, so this is our last problem by completing the square, and this is the hard problem, or the hardest problem, and it's 2x squared plus 22x plus 47. And you'll notice it's going to be a little bit different from the rest of the problems because you're going to notice an a value in front of the x squared, which in this case is 2. And that's going to change things up a little bit, but it's not very much different. So, like always, we're going to use parentheses to separate it. Kind of separated it out. But instead, we need to isolate it from this a value here, this 2. This 2 here. So once we've done that, we can write x squared plus 22x. And then same thing, we need to add a number. We need to add a number that makes a perfect square with this. And we will box that in parentheses, and we'll keep the 2 on the outside. And then plus 47, and then we're going to subtract. This is where it gets different. This number that we subtract on the outside here is not going to be the same number that we add inside the parentheses. The difference is that the number we get here inside the parentheses will be multiplied by this a value 2 here, and then after we multiply it by 2, then we can place it over here outside the parentheses and subtract it from 47. So that's what we will use with the 2. So from here, like always, we need to divide this middle term by 2, which is 11. And then we need to square that, which is 121. And that goes up here in the parentheses, 121. And then this is where we use this 2 here. And then we're going to multiply that by 121, or this here. And then we can put it up here. And that number is going to be 242. So once we've got this, then we can do like always, find the square root of x squared, and then take this sign here, which is a plus sign. And then we're going to use that like always. So now it's x plus 121 squared, because square root of x squared is x, and then we use this plus sign here, and then got the 121 from here. So then from there, we need to use plus 47 and subtract it from 242, and that number is going to be negative 195. So we'll put this on the end, minus 195. And we need to make that equal 0 because, like always, we are still trying to find the value of x. Still, we need to isolate it, though, first. So first step in that, we need to add 195 to each side. That cancels. And then now we have x plus 121 squared. It's getting in the way a little bit, sorry. Equals 195. Okay, so to get rid of this squared over here, to get rid of this squared, we need to square root each side. Square roots x plus 121 squared, and then square root 195. And our answers for that would be x plus 121 equals plus or minus, because we can't reduce square root of 195. So plus or minus square root of 120, or square root of 195. Okay. Then we're still not done because x is not alone, so we need to subtract 121. Subtract 121 to this other side, and then we're going to continue up here. Okay, so x is now isolated, and x equals plus or minus square root of 195. Ooh, it's going to be close. Minus 121. Ooh, we can't really fit that. There we go. Very hard to see. I'm very sorry about that, but I ran out of room here. So our final answer is going to be x equals plus or minus square root of 195 minus 121. And that is the final problem, and that is our answer for this hard problem for solving by completing the square. And that is my project for the Quarter 3 PBA Lesson Share project, and thank you for watching.